Imagine right now as your thumb mindlessly glides over the glass of your phone. In a sleek office in Silicon Valley, an algorithm is celebrating because it just successfully harvested another 15 seconds of your life. The brutal truth is this. Every time you swipe for a cheap laugh or a hit of outrage, a tech billionaire's bank account ticks upward, while your focus, the single most valuable asset for building wealth, is being shredded into confetti. You aren't lazy, you don't lack willpower, and the economy isn't uniquely rigged against your survival. The real reason you're stuck in a cycle of stagnation and brokenness is that you are addicted to a digital narcotic I call synthetic dopamine. This is a biological trap engineered to turn a potential genius into a passive consumer. But today, that game ends. I'm going to decode the neurochemistry behind the broke brain and hand you the wealth rewiring protocol, a system to hardwire your brain to actually crave the hard things that generate real-world status and capital. To understand why sitting down to write a business plan or learn a high-value skill feels like walking on hot coals, we have to look at the thermostat in your skull. Think of dopamine as the molecule of more, the chemical driver of motivation. Normally, your brain maintains a steady baseline. However, when you carpet bomb your receptors with 15-second TikTok hits, your brain panics. It says, "This is too much stimulus, danger." To protect itself, it down-regulates. It literally closes the shutters on its dopamine receptors to avoid burnout. This is dopamine down-regulation. The result? Your baseline crashes. When you finally put the phone down to face reality, the real world looks gray, tasteless, and agonizingly slow. You are left in a state of chronic understimulation. This is the broke brain state, where long-term goals feel impossible because your brain is screaming for a hit of synthetic junk just to feel normal. The gap widens because of the reward disparity. Making money in the real world is a game of delayed gratification. You work today, and maybe you see the profit in 6 months. But the algorithm provides instant gratification every few seconds. When you sit down to do deep work, coding, writing, or market analysis, your brain, conditioned for that 15-second loop, sends out a distress signal. It experiences a stimulus famine. It screams at you that this task is boring, painful, and useless, forcing you to reach for your phone for a quick hit of relief. You cannot fight brain chemistry with mere willpower. You're trying to bring a knife to a neurobiological machine gun fight. You need a system, not a pep talk, to bridge this gap. The first phase of this protocol is the 90-minute morning firewall. Neuroscience shows that your baseline dopamine for the entire day is set the moment you wake up. If you check notifications the second your eyes open, you are outsourcing your brain's reward system to a machine. You are training your neurons to be reactive rather than proactive. To break this, you must implement a total blackout of screens and algorithms for the first 90 minutes of your day. This is when your natural cortisol levels are peaking, providing a biological window of alertness. Use this time for your frog, the hardest, most complex task on your plate. By completing a difficult task without the crutch of synthetic dopamine, you are physically strengthening the neural pathways of self-efficacy. You win the morning and you win the chemistry of the day. But I know your brain isn't a monk. It needs pleasure. This is where we use temptation bundling, a behavioral economics trick upgraded with a neurohack. Don't starve your brain of fun, reroute it. Identify a source of organic dopamine, a specific playlist, a premium cup of coffee, or a favorite work environment, and set an ironclad rule. You are only allowed to enjoy these rewards while you are doing the difficult, high-value work. By doing this, you are bundling the pleasure chemical with the wealth-generating action. Over time, your brain stops viewing work as a sentence and starts viewing it as the key that unlocks the reward. You aren't just working, you're Pavloving yourself into a state of high-performance flow. Now, I want to speak directly to the scanners, the multi-potentialists, and the Renaissance souls among you, those of you who have been told your whole life that your inability to stick to one thing is a character flaw. In the traditional productivity world, you're told to niche down until it hurts. But for a brain wired for high novelty, that is a death sentence for your dopamine levels.
When you force a multi-passionate mind into a single, repetitive track, the boredom doesn't just feel dull, it feels physically painful. Your brain essentially goes on strike, cutting off the supply of creative chemicals. To solve this, we implement the Project Sandbox. Instead of fighting your nature, you're going to weaponize it for wealth. You are allowed, even encouraged, to have 2 or 3 income-generating projects running simultaneously. When you hit a wall of novelty exhaustion on Project A, you don't retreat to your phone for a hit of synthetic dopamine. Instead, you jump to Project B. By rotating through high-value tasks, you satisfy the brain's hunger for newness through the act of creation rather than consumption. You aren't just distracted, you are strategically pivoting within a sandbox of your own design. This turns your distractibility into a diversified portfolio of skills and income streams, making you an unshakable force in a rapidly changing economy.
As you begin to apply these 3 steps, you need to be prepared for the biological backlash. For the first 3 days, your brain will feel like it's itching from the inside. You will feel a phantom vibration in your pocket where your phone used to be. You will experience a profound sense of restlessness. This is not a sign of failure. It is the feeling of your dopamine receptors physically repairing themselves. You are going through withdrawal from the algorithm. However, if you push through to day 14, something miraculous happens. The cognitive fog lifts. You will start to notice things you haven't felt in years: a natural curiosity, a spontaneous surge of energy in the afternoon, and a strange, quiet confidence. Scientifically, your anterior mid-cingulate cortex, the AMCC, the area of the brain responsible for tenacity and the ability to do things you don't want to do, is actually thickening. You aren't just changing your habits, you are literally growing a grit muscle in your prefrontal cortex. Deep work, which once felt like an ordeal, begins to feel like a flow state, that high-octane psychological zone where time disappears and your output becomes effortless and elite. This shift is more than just a productivity hack, it is a fundamental identity shift. You are no longer a user to be mined for data, you are a creator of assets. You are moving from the bottom of the economic pyramid, where people pay with their attention, to the top, where people are paid for their focus. The version of you that was poor or stuck was simply a version of you whose biological hardware was being hijacked by superior software. By reclaiming your neurochemistry, you are reclaiming your agency. You are becoming the kind of person who can sit in a room alone for 3 hours and produce something that the rest of the world is willing to pay for. You are becoming a high-value outlier in a world of distracted average. But let's be honest, reclaiming your dopamine and your focus is only the first layer of the game. In the era of hyper-accelerated AI and global competition, simply being able to focus isn't enough if what you're focusing on is becoming obsolete. If your high-income skills take you years to master while the world is moving in months, you're still at risk of being left behind. There is a hidden piece of the puzzle, a way to leverage the brain's neuroplasticity to slash the time it takes to learn complex, high-paying skills by 2/3. If you want to know how to not just work harder but to upgrade your brain's operating system so you can learn and pivot faster than any AI ever could, you need to understand the mechanism of rapid skill acquisition. There is a specific neurohack for that, and it is the only way to ensure that once you've rewired your wealth, you can actually keep it.